Wow, it's a slow week, huh? Oh, I don't know if we're gonna find enough to talk about on the podcast.
Well, let's start here. Hey, Boos. We need to put a shutdown on real human beings in fighting games until we can figure out what the f*** is going on. We need to just put a moratorium on the entire process of human beings and in fighting games until we can assess the situation and verify what the f*** is happening. I think that's where we can start.
So the past couple of days, you and Punch Mom and Reggie came over and hung out, and you stayed the night, and you were a wonderful guest, and I was so glad to have you. And it was very, very endearing.
Thank you for hosting.
To see all three of you spend like a good portion of your time trying to be the first one to endear yourself to that fucked up little dog. And he turned around on all of you because he was scared, and he loved you all. And that was very sweet. But it is a great thing to start with here in fighting games and real people, because that was the first thing you started to talk about coming into the house. You did a little dance.
I sure did. Do you remember the lyrics to the dance?
They put a rapist in Mark of the Wolves.
Something to that effect. Yeah.
Very similar to that.
That was kind of how that went. Yeah. It's
right,
not
like in the door. Hey, Paige. Hey, baby. Hey, dog. Hey, cat. Ah, shit. Fucking what the fuck?
Yeah. I think it was something along the lines of, they put a rapist in Mark of the Wolves. Something like that.
That was it.
Something like that.
I have quite the tune to it.
Yep. That's what they did. That's what allegedly.
I think
look, I don't think it's great. Okay. It's not great when I don't know who the second person that got announced was, and I have to Google the name, and then I also am like, should I press spacebar and type allegations just in case? You know,
just in case. So I think I can actually boil down the Ronaldo soccer man alleged probable, let's be real, rapist being a real human being being put into a fighting game that we were interested in. I can break this whole controversy down into like a single interaction I had in chat talking about this. I think it was yesterday, but it might have been the day before, where he kicks the soccer ball really good. This is a truth that is unmitigated, that everybody knows he kicked the soccer ball really good.
One of the most famous human beings on planet Earth.
Yeah. So I mentioned the other day that we had discussed and how you walked in going, oh my God, I can't believe they put a rapist in Mark of the Wolves.
Allegedly.
And my chat went, huh? What? And then before I could even get into it, someone went, oh yeah, Ronaldo. Period.
Yeah.
Like,
which people are hearing this.
Is like
the
whole discussion.
Yeah, and I guess folks are similarly confused, as were myself and Reggie upon seeing that, because you see that and you go, Saudi Arabia, yes, okay, all right, we're doing the whole bit, and we like for a while. I remember when it was kind of like, okay, so they say that their creative decisions are still going to be in the hands of the people that are making the things, and nothing's going to get handed down on an edict, and then you're like, well, that sure seems like it when he's got a contract with them and his likeness and team and everything are now associated. And then, this current like confusion with this new character that just got announced an hour ago aside,
I didn't even know there was one.
Oh, okay, because there's a second one. So, but the first one was just like, that's confusing and goofy, but okay, whatever. I guess that's what they're doing, and soccer, the humongous football player will get eyeballs on the game. So that's the move. That's
totally true.
That's the play that they're making. And then immediately a message came in going, yeah, shame about those allegations though. And it's like, what? Oh no.
And so like, hey, you know what my favorite part about this is that I was like, you know what, I'm talking about this, I should double check just to make sure. And I type in the guy's name and allegations, and not only do I get the first batch of allegations, I get the second court case about the hush money he paid to make the first court case go away.
Yeah, I saw someone.
And I'm like, oh wow, wow.
So I saw a screenshot of like, hey, his win quote just dropped, and it was the quote of the thing he said to his lawyer that then was posted in the story about what he did, and that was dropped, and it was like, Jesus fucking Christ. So that doesn't sound great. That doesn't sound great at all. That sounds pretty bad.
I think I agree that we should maybe not put. Hey, let's just stop. This is a stance that I've taken for a long time. If you don't know somebody in your personal life well, you should just not look up to them ever.
I mean, that's the most zoomed out take you can have.
That is my zoomed out take.
That's the most zoomed out take you can have, and that's fine.
I want to grow up to be a cool football player like O.J. Simpson.
Or hold on.
I saw the
you saw the Naked Gun trailer?
Yeah, where they just go,
fuck me. I watched that Naked Gun trailer. Okay, I watched the Naked Gun sidebar. I watched the Naked Gun trailer, and I was like, okay, I see the angle here. Liam Neeson's pretty funny. Sure, that's fine. And the last 2 seconds of that thing got me and went, oh.
Yeah, it really did. It's excellent.
The last 2 seconds actually got me laughing. So well played to the 2025 teaser for the new Naked Gun movie.
I don't think you should. I think that maybe we should not put real people in.
Okay, but yeah, I was gonna say if we could just zoom in a little bit and just pare it down to something much more simple, much more easy at that point, and at the very least, just like and if there's no way to avoid this, can we do some background checks? Can we figure out what the fuck's going on? Can we just can we?
That wouldn't do anything because everybody knew.
Yes,
everybody
of course.
knew.
No, the people who are super down for it are, in fact, they've got their own shit going on, clearly, right?
I foresee a very interesting cultural dialogue in the FGC about this character. And when I was talking to my chat about it, I'm like, if you want a preview of the back and forth that's going to happen around City of the Wolves and competition and the character and whatnot, just travel back in time a little bit and go read any argument or in-person discussion about whether or not you should let infiltration compete at your tournament.
Right.
And the back and forth of, yo, fuck that guy, versus, yeah, I don't care, I just want good fight game. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, and of course, the entire discussion, like, about slow ownership over SNK for that we've been talking about for a while ago as well. And then there's events that happen over there, and people go over, and then like some folks are like, I'm not comfortable with that, and it's becoming more and more unavoidable, I'd say, at every turn.
Absolutely.
I feel like also at the same time back then there was the percentage ownership thing that they had, and then kind of now that number has increased across all video game companies. Any games that you like, there's an ownership number that is starting at 10% up to 40, up to, in some cases, way above that. With ownership over or shares that they've bought and stuff. So it's like, it's just everywhere, right? On a sidebar. But with this, I just remember, like, we're like, okay, like, that's nuts. And then you're like, oh, the way things have been going, there's also this like distinct possibility that because balancing stuff has been it's insane at first and then getting toned down afterwards because of the second beta, there's a decent chance that he might also be really high tier, which means you might see a top 8 that has a whole lot of Ronaldos in it potentially. I don't know if that's gonna happen, but
I was talking like the cool thing for SNK to do would be to make him really bad on purpose.
I mean, that would be interesting.
Like,
right?
That would be like, well, we put him in. We didn't want to, but we put him in.
So there's a couple. My mind's racing because I can't keep. I'm losing track of all these like logs and lines to. But one was catching wind that or hearsay that there's definitely the decision for him to be in there, as well as what's going on now, is coming from above Oda's head. So it's coming from above the
no shit,
and that's definitely a no-brainer. There's the God, what was the other thing? The fact that it's baseline roster means that if somebody wanted to say like, well, I'm not going to buy that DLC, or I don't want that, I don't want him on the roster,
he's
or
base
whatever.
Roster,
it's included in, which also makes sense because you're not trying to the people the world that you're trying to appeal to with a giant football player is going to not really be about spending extra money for DLC necessarily. You're going to want to just have that in the baseline roster to advertise the game anyway. Plus,
holy shit, this new character looks terrible.
So,
oh my god. Sorry, I just saw him.
Okay, so yes, Mr. President, a second real human being has hit City of the Wolves. I repeat, a second real person has hit the roster of Garo.
Oh, that's a real person?
Yeah.
Oh, he looks terrible. Oh my god.
So there's 2 trailers. There's the reveal one like last time, and then there's the gameplay footage, and it's Salvatore Garacci, a DJ, and nobody really can figure it out. About an hour ago they just dropped it, and it's like, hey, Salvatore Ganacci's in the game and is going to be a fully playable character and everything. I think 2 weeks ago they announced some collaborative artists they're working with, and he was one of them. But then from there to playable character, I'm like, I don't know how or why, but here we are. The first thing that would strike my mind again is with something like this is like, if you're working with a DJ, wouldn't you immediately go like, let's make a big stage that's taking place at a concert that he's holding, and put some of his music in the game, and have it be like, oh, every time you load in that stage, a set list will play, and you'll have him in the background playing the music and reacting to the fights, and the whole thing is just an elaborate.
He performs regularly in Saudi Arabia, and he's a friend of the royal family.
Yeah, so
he's literally just their buddy.
So that's the bit, right? You're like,
that's so fucking funny. That's so fucking funny. Oh man,
could have been that way, but that's not the way it's going.
Holy shit!
Wow. So,
I've never seen, because you'll say like, oh, put your foot on the scale, like, is the boss, messing with it, and like this is like. This is like, my friend's little brother wants to be in the fighting tournament. Yeah, put him in and make sure he wins.
Unavoidably so, it seems.
This is crazy.
And so the nutso part. So you said something last time too, which is like, during the first beta, where it was like, if the game was bad while the net play was bad and matchmaking was bad, then it would be easy to just kind of like write it off. So the second beta came out, and it dropped while we were out there, and hey, guess what? The game's amazing. The game's
amazing.
The gameplay is
the matchmaking's great tight now, and the online is super good.
So the first day of matchmaking was a bit rough, and then they switched the switch in the first couple hours, and then matchmaking got good, and then they included the training mode, they included versus offline, and they included TZOC as well, and it's like, I mean, I'm going to quote Reggie here. He's like, this is the most interesting defensive game that's been released in the last 20 years in fighting games. It's doing a whole lot, and it's really well thought out as a game that feels like an old school fighter, but still has newer mechanics in it. It has a lot for you.
It's great.
it has a lot for you on defense and it has a lot for you on offense, and it's very rewarding to like go all in on like these moves linking into each other and such versus just defending or like hyper defense is this other type of thing. There's so much going on. It's really really
you
sick.
Need good defense with Ronaldo on the roster.
Wah, wah. There you go. And so that's the thing that you get is like they really thought about it, and it's being designed as a proper like Garrow 2, you know? It's not half-assed. It just seems like there's going to be a like section of it that you're like, this is the actual game. And then there's this layer of, on top of that
the end of that discussion is like we had this long and back and forth. It's like, yeah, tons of people don't care about this shit at all, any of it at all, right?
Yeah.
And we like our audience like is like I would say our audience is like, or audiences, depending on how you want to split it, it's like significantly more progressive than the internet at large.
For sure.
So we're gonna run into I just saw it scroll by a lot of people who are going like, I am not touching this game with a 10-foot pole. And it's never been easier to go, yeah, okay.
I get it. Of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
But for sure, I mean, and I would say too that, you know, there's a huge difference in vibes from just like, okay, there's the trailer that gets released. You can go see feedback on that. There's, you know, any other FGC content creator at this channel, and then the feedback, and then the amount of discussing that happens there. And then with us, it's much higher concentrated in that regard, you know?
Absolutely.
In no small part due to the fact that, like, I think we openly talk about this shit. We have pretty candid conversations over the years about a lot of it, so folks are pretty used to that, and people that are much more, I guess, you know, aware of or in tune with and concerned about things like that are going to be around. So
I think
to just echo your statement, yeah, when folks are like, yeah, I'm out, I'm like, what am I supposed to say?
Yeah,
like,
sure.
I get it.
I think somebody made a great point going by where it's like there's a subtype of person who is out now that the DJ is in, but not when the soccer player is in. And that is a highly specified cross-section of tastes that needs to be studied. Listen,
fascinating.
I can abide a lot of things, but that new character looks bad. So
yeah, I did see some of that too. I did see some of that. Yeah, man. You know, You're not going to see me trying to change anyone's opinion on that, certainly.
Oh, I've never wanted to change someone's opinion less talking about a game.
That being and the wild part that is like, yo, we even got some sets in at your place, and
yep, and they were great. They were incredible.
Game's great, feels really fun. It's the sequel I've wanted for 24 years. You know, like I just you know. But I mean, listen, this episode in general, we're going to be talking about fighting games and Nintendo. There's a whole lot of that going on.